Good evening and welcome to my How Healthy Are You weekly conference call. My name is Dr. Thomas Brewer. I'm a PhD chemist. For this evening's call, my topic is going to be on a fat-burning hormone called FIAF, and I'll get to that in just a few minutes. First, I wanted to give a little introduction or update on what's going on with this huge coronavirus hysteria. And that's exactly what it is. It's way overblown. If you look at any statistics, the mortality rate of the coronavirus in any other country but China and the city where the virus started is less than 1%. In fact, it's going to end up around 0.5% mortality rate. So far, the only people that have died are those that are in poor health. The problem with this virus isn't the mortality rate, it's just that it's very contagious. So the good news here is because of all the hysteria surrounding this virus and all the news reports, people are not touching each other so much. And this is something we should have done all along for the standard flu or influenza. And we're just coming out of the traditional flu season. This year, I think people will be very careful throughout the year. And it's probably going to take a few years before people get complacent again and not worry about communicating and passing along germs and viruses. Just like any virus, what you want to do is keep your white blood cells as big and active as possible. You do that with the Steromax. You continue to take 3 per day, about 30 minutes before your first meal of the day. That way your stomach is the most empty. If you suspect any problem with any virus or bacteria or yeast, then all you need to do then is take the lightning colloidal silver. The way you take that is you take a half an ounce 2 times a day on an empty stomach, swish that half ounce and swallow it. So 2 times a day, a half an ounce each time. The other way to do the colloidal silver is to put it in some sort of a mister or aerator. This is good to protect you all night in bed, or if you feel you're starting to come down with something, or if you're just paranoid, put about a half ounce in your mister. So it comes out to about a half ounce in a half gallon of water or an ounce in a gallon of water, something like that. And that will keep your whole house nice and clean of any bacteria or viruses or yeast, that's going to cause a problem. So the other thing I wanted to mention, I have extended my stay in Pennsylvania to the Monday, which is June 1st, and I have 3 openings left for that Monday, June 1st, for doing either blood microscopy or food allergy testing. And then for the topic today, I want to talk about a fat-burning hormone. This hormone is known as fasting-induced adipose factor. Well, that's a mouthful, so the acronym is FIAF. And antibiotics are normally linked to obesity when we take antibiotics for some reason. Now, antibiotics are to kill bacteria, not viruses. So we'll say that right away. Antibiotics won't do anything for any virus, whether it's coronavirus, which is a classification of viruses. It's a whole category called coronavirus. But the flu or a cold virus, antibiotics won't do anything. But people take antibiotics because they have some sort of bacterial infection, and they tend to be linked to obesity. And so some studies were done to see, well, why is that? Well, sometimes the bacteria in our system make a short-chain fatty acid. So that'll be a little different than the fish oil fatty acid. And this short-chain fatty acid has a name. It's called butyrate. And it actually protects us from weight gain. And the bacteria in our gut, both the good and the bad bacteria, the good bacteria are called probiotics, and the bad bacteria are typically called parasitic bacteria. But we need both. So when we combine them, we call that the gut flora. And that actually affects how we metabolize fat. And the whole goal here is to metabolize fat, to utilize the energy. Now, when we don't eat a lot, or if we fast, such as intermittent fasting, we talked about that, where you don't eat for, say, 12 or 14 or 16 hours a day, so you're doing all your eating in a little shorter time frame. Well, the first thing that happens is we stop storing fat, and the body has to start utilizing it. Well, that's a good thing. So this FIAF is a hormone, and just as a reminder, hormones send signals. That's their job. Enzymes make reactions go faster. Hormones send a signal. So that's what happens in our bodies. So this FIAF signals that we want to start using fat. So that's a good thing. Well, some bacteria repress or slow down the FIAF hormone. Well, that's not good, because that will increase our fat content. But some bacteria increase this FIAF hormone, meaning increase its ability to do its job. And the bottom line is the bacteria that are fed by soluble fibers, so this would be the fiber in fruits and vegetables, they tend to be the best ones to increase this fasting-induced adipose factor hormone that allows the body to start burning fat. The next part of this is why some people tend to burn fat better than others, and there's so many reasons that we either burn fat or store fat, but one of them, it turns out, is based on the people living with you. And so some studies have been done on the gut flora of people living together and comparing the flora between the ones that are overweight and the ones that are not overweight. But in all cases, people living together have the propensity to have similar gut bacteria. And this was somewhat surprising because everybody's different. Why would they have similar bacteria? And this is so strong that even when people move out of one house into another house, what's left behind the house matches the old family, but it quickly turns to a similar bacteria to the new family. Well, it turns out we end up sharing bacteria with everyone that we live with. And it's a lot of different ways, just through touching things and breathing and sitting in the same places. But it also turns out that the dogs act as a bridge of bacteria between people, meaning we'll end up getting some of our bacteria on a dog. And this isn't something we see. This is something that's a microscopic level, and then someone else pets the dog, and then the bacteria then gets onto the other person. So we get this mishmash of bacteria that it ends up being a good thing throughout a household. Now, what's funny about this is it doesn't seem to work as well for cats, but it definitely works with dogs. So this is just a little extra information. It's probably not going to change your life that much. But the bottom line on that FIAF hormone is, again, another reason to eat your fruits and vegetables, because that soluble fiber will feed the correct bacteria that will turn on that hormone signal so that we burn fat. Okay, so that's what I had for an introduction today. I'm going to open up the call to... Do we have any questions for this evening's call? And then, Sandra, what did you want me to talk about next week? You had mentioned something, but I had already had this topic lined up.
Maybe the circulatory system.
Is that what it was that you had emailed me?
Yes.
Circulatory system, not the lymph, but the blood?
Right.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
All right, I'll talk about that next week. Do we have any questions? Hopefully everyone's enjoying these weekly conference calls. Okay, if we don't have any questions, I'll just close out the call. And I want everyone to stay healthy out there and don't buy into the coronavirus hysteria. There's really no need for concern. You have a similar to worse chance of dying from the common flu than the coronavirus. So I'll be doing the call again next week. Until then, everybody have a good evening. Good night, everybody.